Welcome to this week's episode of the CC Mouse Podcast. I'm Dan, and you can find me at RFS Dan. Oh wait, no. Welcome.
Whoa.
Okay, stop laughing. I got a podcast.
No, you're leaving that all in. That's the intro. Where can we find you, Dan?
You can find me at Forgetting to Tell You That We're Good for Your Ears, and you can find me everywhere on the social media at RFS Dan.
You're leaving that in.
Okay, where can we find you at?
In. You can find me. I'm Jess, and you can find me at Snowdogs Vlogs. And don't mind me if I sound a little strange today, because I kind of have a cold.
You can find me at the ER.
Yeah, right.
You do sound like you're dying a little bit.
A little bit. We should probably tell them that we're also doing this. It is midnight my time.
It's a mere 9 o'clock my time.
And you just got off of work. So the funny messed up intro is staying in because I said so.
Yeah, but whose fault is it? Because I don't think don't let them at home think that we haven't been sitting here talking for at least an hour.
Right.
This is how it goes when we podcast. We get on the headphones. We have a whole nother podcast, which is always 10 times better than what we put out for a podcast. Because you get the real us on there. It's just half inappropriate. But then after that, we're like, all right, we have to podcast. And we've been doing this. We've been sitting here for an hour now, just talking about things in our week and stuff. That's the podcast.
But I feel like if we get on and we just I think if we try to do that and we know we're recording, it's not going to be the same. And I feel like if we don't get on here and talk before we actually podcast, then it's going to feel like work. It's going to be like, oh, I can't even talk to you. We can only talk on the podcast. This isn't even fun.
It does. And half of our stuff is shit talking anyway. It's not like we're like, no, it is all good stuff. I won't lie. It's all good stuff. All stuff that you guys would rather hear than the stuff that we really do. But that's for our ears. Our ears only. So
we banter back and forth about, should we talk about this topic? Are people really going to care? Do we really care about this?
Will it be relevant next week? We still never talked about. Here's all the topics that we've skipped over for next week that never emerge. One was Lori Loughlin from Full House not paying off the teachers for for college. Right. We were going to talk about that. We were going to talk about Dr. Disrespect. We were going to talk about all kinds of things. It took us forever to get the Pew News for PewDiePie. So we have a separate chat that we have that says podcast topics, and it's full of podcast topics, but we answer none of them.
Did we even check SpeakPipe?
I don't know. I haven't checked anything. I ran here to get on the headphones with you after work, like I'm coming straight from work, so I didn't what we should check. Do
we should check SpeakPipe.
All right, I'll check SpeakPipe right now. Tell us more about your sickness.
Guess what, guys? I got the tea. Literally, like I have tea in my hand. Hot tea at that, and I don't like hot tea. It's actually a hot toddy.
The heck's a hot toddy? Hold on. It's a hot toddy it's like that big bag that looks like a whoopee cushion, and you fill it with hot water, and you put it. I don't know where they put it after that. I don't remember. I've only seen them on TV, but that's a hot toddy, right?
No.
Like a waterbed whoopee cushion?
You've never had a hot toddy? You drink hot tea and you've never had a hot toddy.
I'm new to hot tea too. And okay, hold on. I'm looking at all my tea here, and none of the flavors are hot toddy. I have I have hibiscus, I have strawberry. I do not have hot toddy.
So it's hot tea and honey and lemon.
Oh, okay.
And whiskey.
Oh, okay. Okay, it just became hot toddy. Became a lot more attractive to me all of a sudden.
It's as crazy as it is. It makes you feel better. I don't know why. It's so weird.
It sounds like an old timer's drink, kind of like when the old people say like, "Oh, you should just is your baby teething? You should just get some whiskey and rub it on their gums."
Rub it on their gums.
I'm like, whoa, that's
exactly what a hot toddy is.
Like holistic.
You're supposed to, it's the same thing. The lemon and the honey. I'm not a holistic medicine doctor thing. Like, it does magical things. And then the whiskey just makes you feel better.
It's like rubbing it on your stomach gums.
I guess so. You don't put, like, a lot in it. Unless you really want to. And I actually used Fireball, so I have tea with honey and lemon and cinnamon whiskey in here. You can also add cinnamon to hot toddies. I actually think a lot of people will put, like, I almost called it a stalk of cinnamon. What is that called? It's not a stalk.
I'm going with a stalk of cinnamon. Nope, that's it. Okay, so you put a stalk of cinnamon. I know what those look like.
And that's what I have. And it's making my throat feel better. And I tell you what, if you drink it right before you go to bed, you go to sleep.
Well, you seem a little bit more peppy than you did an hour or so ago when we were talking.
There's whiskey in my cup.
Okay, so I got the speak pipe up, and I do see a message from Becky just from a couple days ago. So we'll play it. I have no idea what it says. I don't know. It could be anything. It could be a bunch of armpit farts, or it could be a good question. So let's try it out. Let's try out SpeakPipe. So here we go.
Hi guys, this is Becky, or maybe better known as Oakley fan by now. I would love to know of you, the two of you, who were, or still are maybe, the at least two people who have influenced you the most. Thank you.
Wow, that's what she finally sounds like. That's Oakley fan?
Yeah, you should know what she sounds like. She was in my birthday video.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, that's Oakley fan. That's Becky. That's Oakley fan.
And she's from not America.
Germany.
Yeah, okay, that's right. She is in Germany. She's cool. She's one of the ones I see pop up the most on there.
Yes, very long time subscriber. Very, very great supporter. I talk to her quite often, actually. She's making a trip to Michigan, I believe, or a trip to the United States next year, I believe. And I think we're going to meet her at one of the pet expos. I told her if she makes it to Michigan, I don't care where she's at. She's going to meet the dogs. So
don't go to Michigan.
Hey.
I mean, go to Michigan.
So answer the question.
Okay, so who influenced me the most?
Yeah, do you have an answer? Because I have an answer.
Okay, you have an answer. Is this in life or video making?
Who influenced you the most, period. You can take that any way you want.
Okay, go ahead.
My answer is my dad. So easily my parents, but out of both of them, probably my dad a little bit more than my mom. Because, I don't know, my parents were always really, really, like, and I know I've talked about it a little bit before, but they were always really, really encouraging of everything I've ever done. They've never really, like, told me I couldn't do something, which is probably what makes me the crazy person that I am. If I wanted to try something, they were always just really encouraging, and they never tried to hold me back from trying anything, and they did always try to, like, push me, but not in that, like, you should do this kind of way. Like, it was always just like those little, like, subtle things. Like, even when we went full time doing YouTube, my mom was just kind of like, you could just try it, see what happens. I was like, okay. But I would definitely say my mom and dad, but I think my dad a little bit more than my mom probably influenced, like, life in general, everything that I've done. And I know that's like a cliche answer, and so many people can say that, but
it is.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I can't say that it ain't Gary Vee. I can't say that it's some famous person that I've been influenced by to do these things. Like, there are people in my life that influence me to do different things or motivate me to do different things. Like, it would be music more than anything else. Like, people would be my parents, my mom and dad.
That's a good answer. I feel like for me, it's almost opposite. Instead of letting people influence me in a positive way, I find people that I'm like, oh, don't do that. And I think that shapes a lot of who I am. I'm a don't do that guy. Oh, yeah, you want a family member? You want to go ahead and be a fool? Don't be like that, because I see the outcome of it. So I feel like I approach that in a different way. So a lot of my family members, some of my old coworkers influence me the most because I know not to act that way. That is going to get you not far in life. And then let's go something more simplistic, like video making, or like what got me into video making, or what influences me to like do the creative stuff, we'll call it, which used to be a lot less, prominent than it is now.
Right.
A lot of it was Charles Trippy.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that before too.
And I don't champion him. I can't watch his videos anymore. They're not for me anymore. I tried to watch one the other day, and oh my gosh, isn't it crazy to see Allie though? And just like, she just gained no pounds, and she's just got that bump. Like, what a stick! What a stick! I hate you. And I always love them to death, but I don't relate anymore. But watching him go and going like, okay, you could just kind of do anything, and it's okay, and you can be yourself. And if you're yourself, people will like you, like you for you. And the people that are into the stuff that you're into, and the people that like you for you will clean on, and the rest will go on to the other people that they relate to. So a lot of it in the beginning was Charles Trippy. Otherwise, like, how do I explain this? Like, I'm like pretty solo. Like, I'm not a loner per se, but like, I don't surround myself with a bunch of people that like influence me. You help a little bit. You're not part of this list. Don't think I'm giving you credit for this. Okay, I'm giving you a little credit. It's good to watch you go, because when I watch you do stuff, I'm like, okay, like, any regular person can do this. They put a lot of hard work into it. But yeah, I think I go back to the beginning where I'm more of a like, this is what somebody did, don't do that, and then you'll be okay. So I'm an anti-influencer, if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, it does make sense, because it's the same type of thing. It's, people or things you see in your life that influence the decisions that you make. So I definitely think that and as you were saying that, I definitely started thinking a little bit more, and as crazy as it is, Jamie has influenced a lot of the ways that I think in life. He's so much more analytical than I am.
Yes.
Like, he's so much more like, I'm like, oh, look, there's a red shiny ball. I want the red shiny ball. Look, I have the red shiny ball. This is great. And Jamie's like, but why do we need the red shiny ball? And what are you going to do with the red shiny ball? And do you really need the red shiny ball? And my brain starts to go, oh. So I have a feeling that if he wasn't around, my house would be full of like
red shiny balls,
and red shiny balls, and snow globes. And
we have this conversation all the time when we're hanging out. Like, it'll be downtime, no more cameras, no more nothing, just like hanging out in the backyard. And I'm a lot like you as far as red shiny balls, and Crystal's a lot more like, hey, like, why do we need red shiny balls? So I get that. Yeah. And Jamie, and this is something that I don't think that gets relayed on camera as much, is Jamie is like deeper than just like, oh, look, he's in the vlog today and stuff. Like, there's a lot to him.
Yes.
And he knows, oh my gosh, he knows so much stuff. If the zombie apocalypse happened, you go find Jamie. Because he'll make anything out of anything, and if not, he just knows. It's crazy.
He built barn doors that I showed him a picture of for our garage, the overhang of our garage. I wanted barn-looking doors for it. And I literally showed him a picture of what I wanted. And not only did he build it, he built the entire thing out of scrap wood. I didn't have to buy anything. He took all this old wood we had back there, cleaned it all up, cut everything he needed to cut, and now I have these really pretty barn doors. And when he got them all done, I'm sitting there going, I don't even, like, where did you even get the wood from? I didn't have to go to Home Depot. How did you do this? Where I'm sitting right now, I'm looking at shelves that he made for me that are made out of recycled doors. He's also the type of person that doesn't, like, I'm the type of person when something breaks, throw it away. I want something new. Like, right. If my computer starts to act up and act slow, I'm like, nope, done with the computer.
Yeah,
I'm getting
your camera, your computer, your Jeep, like it's everything.
I can't. My brain doesn't process the same way. So, like, if something doesn't work, my brain goes to, it doesn't work. I don't want to spend the time to fix it because time is money, and I'm wasting time, and I'm losing time because what I need is broken. So I want new right now.
And you're impatient.
That's how it works. So now I'm going to tell you a really fun story. When we lived at our old house, so this had to be like 10 years ago. Yeah, at least. When we, we're living paycheck to paycheck and eating ramen noodles and barely paying our mortgage on our house. And Greg lived with us at the time. Greg and I, every weekend, as long as we both had the time off, we would go garage sailing, and we would take the little extra money that we had, and we would go around to the garage sales, and we would buy the stuff that we needed. We would buy if we needed, pots and pans, or if we needed plates and stuff, if we needed blankets, like, we would buy the stuff we needed at garage sales, or we would buy stuff to turn around and resell. So anyway, long story short, we needed a weed whacker. I don't know. Everybody calls them something different, but I think that whippersnipper.
Whoa. Okay, it's only ever called a weed whacker. What the heck is a whippersnipper? I love this. See, this is why I love you, because you have these backwoods names for everything. Hold on, a whippersnipper?
You've never heard that?
No, but I can't wait to mow the lawn next week and I'm gonna set it up, or I'm gonna leave the weed whacker next to Crystal. I'm gonna ask for the whippersnipper, like I'm the Mad Hatter from. I'm a whippersnipper. Okay, do you have any other names?
Other people call it a weed eater.
Okay, I'm okay with that, even though it doesn't do anything but fling the weeds.
I know. So I always I tend to call it a whippersnipper, but it's a weed whacker, which still sounds weird. But anyway, we needed one. Greg and I found one at a garage sale, and the guy wanted like $5 for it, and he said that it ran. And I'm like, it probably doesn't run, but we really need one, and Jamie can fix anything. So we took it home, and sure enough, it didn't run correctly. And he I don't know all the technical terms, so he cleaned out the spark plug and did some other weird thing. And anyway, he got it running. So now it's 10 years later, not even kidding. I bought him a new weed whacker maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes.
And it was probably not the one I should have bought. I think I bought it at Walmart, but it was cheap. I know it wasn't $5 though. But I want to say it was like $79. It was a cheap weed whacker. And the one that we had got him at the garage sale, just kept giving him problems. I had little issues here and there. And it was like, why, again, my brain, why are you wasting 2 hours in the garage trying to fix your weed whacker when I could just go out and buy you a new weed whacker and then you'd have it. And then you're not out here every couple of days trying to fix your weed whacker.
Yep.
The other day, he's out in the garage. And now the original $5 weed whacker and the $79 weed whacker are now both broken.
Oh, nice.
And he's out there trying to fix it. I left yesterday. I had to go downstate, and I went by myself, and he watched the dogs. And when I got back, I walked in the door, and he goes, I spent $20 on Amazon. It just cracks me. Really? Why do you need to tell me you spent $20 on Amazon? Like, what did you buy? I don't really care, but okay. Like, you're fine to spend $20 on Amazon. So anyway, oh, what'd you buy? Oh, I bought parts for the weed whacker.
For the whippersnipper.
I'm like,
please only call it that.
I'm like, I thought you were going to take it to the small engines guy. Oh, the small engines guy charges like $50 to $60 to fix it. So you bought parts for $20 and you're going to fix it. And then he goes on to tell me this story about how the $5 weed whacker that he has is so old. When he looked up the parts, he got the part number, and then he Googled the part number, and then he found it, and he found a place to order the part, but it was like $20 with $8 shipping. So then he went to Amazon, and on Amazon he put in the part number, and it came back, are you ready for it? Mm-hmm. With a snowmobile part.
Okay,
not a whippersnipper part. A snowmobile part. Not a snowmobile. Snow thrower. What is it called? Why can I? Snow blower. So anyway, he said he started looking at it, and he was looking at the part, and he realized it's the exact same part. So then he thought, man, I could just take the part off of my snowblower and probably fix my weed whacker.
Did he really?
No, he did think that, and he did say that, but he didn't do that.
Gosh, he's like Johnny 5.
So anyway, he bought the part, and it showed up today, but it was raining, so he didn't fix it. So he bought the part, and then he bought like the little thing that feeds the gas to it. You're supposed to prime the. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about. You're supposed to prime the pump. Mm-hmm. That thing was dry rotted, so he couldn't prime the pump correctly, which was another reason he couldn't get it to start. So his $5 weed whacker, he spent $20 on and bought parts, and I guess you'll find out next week whether or not the weed whacker, whippersnipper.
Ooh, that's what we call in the industry a cliffhanger.
But yeah, so that's a long way of telling the story about how Jamie and I are very, very polar opposites. Mm-hmm. Which is also why Dan and I do the podcasts, and Jamie and Crystal might eventually be on a podcast if we can convince them.
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I would also like to get Greg on a podcast too. He's interesting.
Yeah, well, that would be fun. So thank you for the question, Becky. That really gave us something to talk about when we had no idea what we were going to talk about. You guys will see Becky commenting very often on all of our YouTube channels and in our podcast group. So thank you, Becky, for being so amazing.
Yahoo! So if you guys want to leave a question, find us at speakpipe.com/ccmousepodcast. That last bit was supposed to be mine, but after 20 takes, I couldn't say it right, so Jess took over for me. It's those hottie toddies that you have, keeping you in line.
Mm-hmm. This should become a podcast regular.
Oh, yeah, because that's what everybody's going to do. Show up with your hottie toddies.
I should mention, real quick here, I am drinking it out of my Canada mug.
Ooh, from Toronto.
From Starbucks, Starbucks in Toronto.
So elite.
True North, strong and free, eh? Whoa! Figure it out. You figure it out.
No more. I tried to play Letterkenny for Crystal, like the hard opening of the episode 1. She was.
And let me guess, she was like, hard no.
Yes, hard no. I liked it. I got about 4 episodes ahead. It's entertaining to me, but yep, hard no. It's another one to add to my list to watch separately.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. Transition.
So, Jess, it seems like the gods have been listening. You and your Dark Crystal talk has been going on for a long time. You've always talked about how much you love the Dark Crystal. And then in this last just few months, you've gotten a renewed TV show, hopes of a sequel, and now a video game?
Yeah. So it was so funny, too. I got the notification on my phone, like, almost instantaneously when the news article went out about it, and then it was not even 5 minutes later. I think I'd been tagged by like everybody on the internet.
As was I, because now I'm lumped in your group.
Right? Yeah, so apparently there's a Dark Crystal video game coming to Nintendo Switch, and if I wouldn't have already bought a Nintendo Switch, I totally would have bought it just for this game.
Oh, rad. I'm glad we have one.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Like, it's kind of like, we were talking about it. It's kind of like a tactical game. looks like it's a game that I know I'll be able to play because I don't think it'll be like super complicated.
You know what? You will. And I know you long enough now to know which games you will and will not like. And the tactical games are fun. I love tactical games, but I really would have loved to have seen some sort of Spyro the Dragon, Banjo and Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot kind of running around, grabbing little crystals, dark crystals, if you will, I don't know, and then like completing levels to save some sort of weird looking Skeksis thing. Like that would have been kind of cool. If you could have any genre of game for Dark Crystal, what kind would it be?
I almost feel like it would be fun, like kind of like the Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time,
or like a quest game.
Yeah, where you would be Jen and you would literally be on the quest for the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
But that would take so much more. Like that would be like a real this seems more like an indie type game. You know, it's set in Thra, so it's gonna be set in, you know, so I've already seen a lot of people complaining that there's a lot of combat that you can see in the trailer, and there's not really a lot of combat that happens in the Dark Crystal. So I have people saying, oh, they're not, because I'll fully admit it, I'm in a couple Dark Crystal Facebook groups.
Oh, wow. Do you guys have a name like Trekkies or Trekkers or anything? Is there a name for you guys?
No, but somebody in one of the groups made this amazing cup, and it actually said it's a big tumbler, and she painted the whole thing, and it's all like purple and crazy looking, and on the side it says Essence of Gelfling.
I don't know what that means, but I'm laughing.
That's the stuff that they drink. That's the stuff that the Skeksis have to... That's why they killed all the Gelflings, because they could drink their essence. But to get their essence, they pretty much kill them, turn them into like zombie things or whatever.
Oh, that's the point of the story? Okay.
Yeah, so they're drinking the essence of Gelfling, and if they do that, it extends their life. So she made a cup that said Essence of Gelfling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I do now understand what you're talking about. It's like having a tactical RPG game with The Simpsons. It's like, how much damage does Bart do, or how much damage does Lisa do? It's not really like that they do fighting stuff in the episodes. It's a cartoon, so like, what are they gonna do? So I get that part. That makes sense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean,
I'll battle you.
Yeah.
But holy cow, doubling down on this Dark Crystal stuff. They're just pumping it out there.
I just want more like. I say that, but Jamie probably doesn't want it. I just want like more merch. I want more Dark Crystal things. I really do.
Because for a little while before they announced this, it wasn't popular for merch. It was kind of like an indie thing, but it's not like there's a lot of merch to choose from. It's not beloved like your Nightmare Before Christmas.
It is a cult classic. So when the Dark Crystal was made, they spent, I believe, it was a $25 million budget, which in 1982, when they made the movie, a $25 million budget was a ridiculous budget.
Well, that's pretty good.
It's a lot of money, but I guess like over the years, it's made over like $900 million in money. Like, so it's like made back its money, but it only made $75 million at the box office. So technically, they considered it a flop,
right?
Because it didn't really do that good. But over time, it just, like the VHSs, and then the DVDs and the Blu-rays, that's where they really made their money. So it wasn't a movie that they really did a whole lot of merch with. Like, there's the movie posters and stuff like that, but there really wasn't a whole lot. So for a long time, I've always wanted some really cool Dark Crystal stuff, and it's just been really impossible to find or ridiculously expensive. No joke. A few years ago, they actually sold some of the original stuff from the movie, and one of the things they sold was one of the Fizzgig, which is Kira from the Dark Crystal, not my dog. Kira's dog thing, puppet. It's not a dog. I don't know what it is. It's a Fizzgig. Anyway, it's the puppet. They sold one, and I watched the auction, and I highly considered on bidding on it multiple times, because I'm like, I could have like a real puppet from the best movie of all time. But I was really broke, and it would have been really stupid.
Where would you put it?
I don't know. I would have put it in like a glass case. There's a Dark Crystal museum. I don't know if it's still open. It's the Museum of Puppets or Muppets or something.
Oh,
but
sweet.
I think it's in Alabama.
Probably.
I remember when it opened, and they had like a bunch of the original Dark Crystal puppets on display there, or Muppets on display there. I really wanted to go, and I don't know if it's still open or if they still have that display, but maybe one day.
Well, you get your chance now because it's been revised.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be happy to see everybody rolling around in Dark Crystal merch, or are you going to be like, you guys are posers?
It'll be interesting. I just hope people enjoy it. I think the more people that I'm not the type of person that's, I don't want to conform to the non-conformities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the type of person that really cares if people start to enjoy something that I enjoy. I'm not like, oh no, that was a thing, and now you suddenly like the thing that I liked. Whatever. If more people like it, that's awesome. Because if more people like it, maybe we'll get the sequel.
Yeah. Well, now's a good time to be alive if you love the Dark Crystal.
Yay! Transition.
So, Jess, you did something cool the other day. Something that I've never seen anybody do. No. So, Jess, you did something cool the other day. Something that I've never met anybody that's done this before. And it goes back to that theme that we were talking about before the podcast, how we're in this crazy era that anybody could be anybody's hero. Anybody could be anybody else's entertainment. You don't have to be a studio. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to have your own jetliner to affect people's lives in a way that it had never been done before on television and radio by the common folk, we'll call it. Because you're still common to me. You didn't go to comedy school. You didn't go to acting school. You just pointed a camera at your dogs and yourself and showed your life. So the Make-A-Wish organization reaches out to you because somebody chose you to be their wish.
Yeah. Isn't that mind-blowing?
It is. If it were me, I just would almost say, I wouldn't want to say no, but I'd be like, are you sure? Or like, could you pick somebody else and then I'll go with you and we'll go meet that somebody else?
Right.
But they picked you and you only.
It was so crazy. Like, when I got the email, I cried. And then I had to read it to Jamie, and he was just like, really? I'm like, yeah, they want to come meet the dogs, and that this is what they want to do. And I mean, how do you say no to that? Like,
right. But how do you live up to that expectation?
I don't know. Like, I had that feeling the whole time going into it, like, is this going to be everything they wanted? And like, I had all these ideas in my head of how can I make this big, amazing thing. Like, and I thought about, like, when I watched, I think it was Rona Atwood did a Make-A-Wish thing with a kid and spent the whole day with them. And I'm like, man, there's like so many things. And how do I make this amazing? But, it's raining and I don't know. Like, I did a lot of that in my head. And then at the end of it, I'm just like, you know what? She wants to meet the dogs. This is what we're going to do. So I ended up renting.
Wait, hold on. Let's start at the beginning. So you have to respond back to the person themselves, or you have to respond back to the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
It's the Make-A-Wish Foundation that reached out. So they lived in Florida, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation from Florida, there's like, each state has their own like group of people. Mm-hmm. So the Florida people like reached out to the Michigan Make-A-Wish people, and they figure out what they can do here and if they can reach out to people and find people and stuff like that. So we got contacted by the Make-A-Wish people from here in Michigan.
Oh, okay. So they got together with them and then they contacted you.
Yes. Yeah, Make-A-Wish did.
Okay. And then how fast does this turn around? Because I think we've only been talking about this from beginning to end for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't. And actually, they reached out to me on Instagram before I even got the email. It's only been like a month. But even in the email, they're like, I messaged you on Instagram and I wanted to follow up and make sure you got an official email so you know that this is real. It was really crazy. So what they told me was that her wish that she gave them was to actually visit Northern Michigan.
Okay.
That was like the wish. What do you want? I want to go to Northern Michigan.
What's in Northern Michigan?
That's what they asked her. Why do you want to go to Northern Michigan? And she said, because that's where Gone to the Snow Dogs and Snow Dogs vlogs are from. So, yeah, she watches our channel religiously. And she was in the hospital like all year last year, I guess. She has leukemia. And she watched our videos while she was in the hospital. Like, they sent me a really, really nice email and said that they wanted to build an experience kind of and have us included in it. So like, it wasn't like they only came here. I mean, the main reason they were coming here was to see us.
Right.
But along with it, they actually got to do like a pretty cool trip. They got to go to Mackinac Island and spend, I think, 2 days on Mackinac Island and then 2 days in Mackinac City. And then they spent, part of the day down here with us. And it's crazy.
So crazy. That is so crazy. Because they based it around you because there's nothing up there. It's beautiful up there, but that's based around you. That's so crazy. Okay, so then so the Make-A-Wish gets her there, correct?
Yeah, they flew into Traverse City, and then I believe they rented a van. They got a van that they got to drive, and they drove from Traverse City to Mackinac, which is only like an hour. It's not really bad. And they were there for I think a day or two. I think they were there 2 days because they actually went to the island the day before they came to see us, and then they drove down here,
which is a little ways away.
We were going back and forth trying to figure out what to do because the hard part about it was I didn't want to have a bunch of people coming to my house because it's just kind of, it's awkward. And even for this, like,
your house feels a little closed in. Like there's a living room, but there's walls everywhere and it might not feel like open and breathy and like relaxed. You guys are all going to be in a room. Yeah.
I just felt like the house wasn't going to be the best place to do it. So I kept telling the people from Make-A-Wish, I'm like, I want to find a location to do this at. Like, even if we just come up to Mackinac and, go to a park together or something, I'd be fine with that. I'm like, but I don't want to do it at the house. I want to find a place. And my friend owns a building with the indoor dog park that a lot of people have seen in our videos where I do the agility training. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to her and told her what was going on and asked her if I could rent the dog park.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we ended up going to the dog park with the dogs. And
so you rent out the dog park. You're on the hook, we'll call it, to make this like the greatest day. Are you like showering her with just puppies and like, here you go, just whatever you'd like to do? Or
pretty much we just went there with the dogs, and when they got there, they were so excited. And of course, legalities. They had to sign a release form before they could even go see the dogs. Not for us, for the people that own the building.
I get it.
They're insurance purposes. So I have insurance too, but the insurance on the building, I'm like, you gotta sign a release for this before we can actually go through this gate. So I was like, Willy Wonka.
Right? Oh, yes. Where the font just gets smaller and smaller and smaller at the end.
Yeah, we pretty much from there, the dog park has like a fenced in area. So her dad is allergic to dogs.
Oh, no. The irony.
He was really glad that there was a place where like they could actually be on the one side with the dogs, and he didn't have, not that he wasn't scared of them or anything, he just was allergic to them.
Right, but the building's big enough that he can still watch and not have to breathe it in.
Yep, and he said he took his Claritin before he came, so he'd be fine.
That's great. Good. That's so cool.
Pretty much, we just opened the gate and, let them go in. And I do have to say, how, so she's 10, and I don't remember how old her younger sister is, but I would probably say like 7. Mm-hmm. And you know how some kids that age can be shy?
Right.
These girls were not shy. They, were very good talkers. We had a lot of good conversations. They had a lot of questions. And pretty much like, I just wanted them to have the experience with the dogs. So we didn't try to make it anything like super crazy stuff. It was like, you want your time with the dogs and Jamie and I, so that is what we are going to give you.
Right, we'll roll around and have fun and pet.
And they did.
Yeah.
And Memphis did the perfect Memphis thing. Like, as soon as they walked in, she started petting Memphis. Within a few seconds, Memphis was in her classic Memphis puddle, laying down on the ground, flipped upside down, belly up in the air, snuggle me to bits. Like, just, even Kira was really getting into it. And Shelby did her typical, you can pet me, but now I'm going to go walk over here. So you can just look at me from a distance.
What were emotions like in there? Like, sorry. What were emotions like in there? As soon as you let the dogs go to her, was she just super stoked?
Oh, yeah. 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 And like, it seemed like it was all so much. It was so hard to process everything. Like, I was talking to her parents, and I was talking to her, and I was trying, of course, trying to keep an eye on the dogs, because I got 3 dogs running around and 2 kids, and, it's a little chaotic. None of them were on leash because it's a fenced-in area. Mm-hmm. So that's the first time the dogs have really done, like, a meet and greet where they're not attached to me.
Right.
You know, when we go to expos, they're literally attached to me. And so this was the first time where they were like running around and interacting and really, you know, being dogs with 2 kids. And, you know, they're not around a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of things going through my head, but mostly I just tried to enjoy what was going on instead of worry about anything.
That's the job.
Yeah, and it worked out really well. Like, all the agility equipment was set up, so, you know, the dogs did some jumps and things like that.
Oh, how awesome.
It was pretty crazy. And we hung out for, it was about 2 hours, you know, and we kind of blocked it for that amount of time because they're still dogs, and Kira's still a puppy. They get burnt out. Yes. Just like anybody else.
Because they don't understand.
Yeah, there's so much information coming in and there's so much going on, and then all of a sudden they're just like, okay, we're totally tired. Like, we're tired and we're gonna nap now, we're gonna go to bed. So it pretty much to the minute was 2 hours. And I saw Kira like walk around. She's like, I'm gonna lay down right here. Shelby was already laying down, and then Memphis was like, I'm gonna lay down right here, and flop right over. And all 3 of them were laying down. And I laughed and I went, that's how you know they're done.
Yep. And then that's it.
Yeah. So it was a little bit. It was like 12:30 or so, I think, by the time, you know, they were getting tired. And then her mom wanted them to change their shirts so they didn't have dog hair and stuff all over them.
Yeah.
Which was nice. And then I asked them, you know, what their plan was for the rest of the day. And they said, you know, we don't really have a whole lot of plan. We're going to go back. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And they were thinking about driving across the Mackinac Bridge, you know, for the experience because they're there. Mm-hmm. So Jamie started telling them about the Sioux locks. So he's like, you know, it's only like an hour and a half and the big ships come in through the locks and it's a really cute little town and you could go out to dinner there. So he was telling their dad about that, and he was all about it. Like, oh, wow, we could do that. And I kind of said to him, I'm like, well, I could take you guys to Take 5 Deli. My family owns a deli downtown. And right away she was like, yeah, I know. I've seen it in the videos.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. So I ended up, I called my brother because it was like lunchtime busy. I called my brother, and I'm like, I'm bringing these people to the deli. And he's like, okay, all right, we'll make sure there's room. I'm like, all right, I just thought I'd warn you.
At this point, does your brother know the story? And your brother's great, by the way. I met your brother. He was the coolest guy ever. I like him better than you. He's like, he needs a camera in front of his face. I don't know if he's ever in your vlogs or videos, but that guy was super rad.
He usually is. I have my brother on camera quite a few times in our vlogs where if you see him, a lot of times he's flipping me off. And I've left it in vlogs because I notice it and other people don't, so it always makes me laugh. And my brother's been in vlogs before.
Okay. And that deli is so good. Remember, we ate there like every day, and it was just so good. Yeah. Cool. So you guys got to go to the deli?
Yeah, so we got to go to the deli, and it was funny. We were all sitting there, and I was telling her parents, I'm like, yeah, this, my sister-in-law runs the front register a lot of the time. So I'm like, yeah, this is my sister-in-law, Danielle. And Danielle and John Carl, they knew what was going on. They knew that we were doing this Make-A-Wish thing, and that I had told them earlier that I was going to try to bring them into the deli as long as they had time, because I didn't know what they were doing after they were done, because we had just kind of said, we're going to do this from 10 to noon, and then we didn't say anything after, so like I didn't know if they had other plans.
Right, you got to feel it out just to see what the vibe is.
Yeah, I didn't want to take away from something else that they had scheduled.
Right.
If it would have been a nice sunny day, I would have suggested they went on the glass bottom boat ride in Alpena, and I would have actually gone with them, even though I hate boats. But it was raining, so there was no way I was going to do that. But anyway, yeah, so Jamie took the dogs home and watched them, and I ended up taking them out to lunch at the deli, and it was funny. We get there, and Greg works at the deli, and y'all know Greg's in a lot of the vlogs.
Yep.
So she got to meet Greg, which is kind of cool. She knew who he was right away.
Oh, that's cool. I love it. Like sidekicks that you won't even think about, but like, oh yeah, that's right. Like Greg is there.
Yeah, he is.
So everybody's eating and having a good time, and then is it time to say goodbye after that? Like that's at some point it comes to an end, and it's like, how do you end a Make-A-Wish?
Yeah, so at the end of it, it was nice. We gave everybody a hug, and you could kind of tell that their dad was the type of person that was like, all right, let's go. All right, let's go. Like when it was time to go, those kids knew, all right, let's go. And he had kind of said that. He's like, all right, we got to go. And they were, up and ready to go. So he told me they were going to go up to the Sioux, and he was telling the kids that, we're going to drive up here and it's going to take a little while. So gave everybody a hug, and I thanked them for coming. And then, her mom leaned over and she's like, thank you so much for doing this. And I'm like, no, thank you, like for allowing her to do this wish. Like really, because her parents could have told her no.
Yeah, she could have been like, her parents could have been like, you need to pick Justin Bieber.
Exactly. Like, and so they live in Florida,
Right.
So I had to tell them at the end of it all. I told them, I'm like, my youngest niece has cystic fibrosis, which is a critical illness. And that's what Make-A-Wish deals with children with critical illnesses. So it doesn't have to be a terminal illness. It's like a critical illness, something that you might die from, or something that you're just dealing with as a child that no child should have to deal with.
And I did learn recently that a lot of the Make-A-Wish children survive, which is a good thing. Yeah. It's not always doomsday.
Exactly. It's a lot of it is, just a critical illness. So anyway, I was telling her, and I think this was part of the reason that I really, really wanted to do it. My youngest niece has cystic fibrosis, and she got to do Make-A-Wish. So I was telling them, I'm like, can you guess what her wish was? And the dad goes, Disney World. I'm like, sure enough, she wished to go to Disney World. And then my sister-in-law, Danielle, she had cancer when she was younger, and she's a Make-A-Wish kid. Can you guess where Danielle
Probably the same place.
She wished to go to Disney World. And then I didn't tell them the main heart of the reason when Make-A-Wish reached out to me that I really, really, really wanted to say yes. I couldn't tell them this part because it's sad, but many, many years ago, my best friend had cancer, and it was bad. He had brain cancer, and he was a Make-A-Wish kid. And he actually got to be a Make-A-Wish kid a couple of times because not only did he have a critical illness, he had a critical illness that they didn't really think he was going to survive from. And in the end, unfortunately, he did not. Right. But he got to make a wish, and one of the things he wished for was a computer. So he got this brand new computer, and this was, I think he was I don't even remember how old he was at the time, but he got a brand new computer. And they're like, well, you gotta you can't just get a computer. You gotta wish for something else. So he wished to meet the Detroit Red Wings. And at 15 years old, he got to meet the entire team.
Wow.
He got to go in the locker room, he got to go to a game, and he got to meet the entire team.
Yeah, and in the 90s was the good Red Wings, too, with Fedorov and Yzerman and Osgood. That was a good team, and they were winning back then, too.
Yep.
So you have some sort of stake in this. You have your heart's in this. You are that girl's Detroit Red Wings.
That's all I could think about is how much Ryan talked about how cool it was to meet the Detroit Red Wings. That was just the greatest. It was probably the greatest thing he ever did in his life before he passed away. He was 15, and then he passed away at 16.
So the meeting's over. You get back into your Jeep.
Oh, I cried.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What was that like?
I cried. I cried a lot. I tried to make sure to cry before I made it back home.
Do you feel worthy of this?
It still is. I don't. You go through the emotions of why me?
Right. How do you quantify that? Why you?
Yeah. Why my dogs? What makes my, and I say this a lot. I always say, what makes my dogs so different? And then I get people that message me and they're like, it's not the dogs, it's you. So if it is me, which I don't, it's the dogs. My dogs are way cuter than me.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
But that's the thing. There was a lot of that, even after that was of all the things you could have asked for, you wanted to meet my dog.
It's the time we live in. This is that time. This is that time where anybody can literally anything right now.
Yep.
Anything. That's good.
My mom and dad always told me, going back to the biggest influencers, my parents always told me you could be whatever you wanted to be if you put your mind to it. And it's such a cliche statement, but it's so stinking true. It's so true.
Yes.
It might, and I think the biggest thing is we live in a society where people want it now. I am a now person.
Yeah,
I want it now. I want it fixed now. But at the same time, things do take time. And if you wake up tomorrow and you're 10 years old and you decide that 10 years from now you want to own an island, well, guess what? If you work towards it, you might not own it in 10 years. But 20 years from now, you might get that island that you've always wanted. You don't know. But at least you have the goal and the drive and something to work for. And as long as you're working towards it and know that at some point in time, if you believe that it's going to happen, it'll happen.
Wow. Welcome to Jess's TED Talk.
Did you see Cass got to do a TED Talk? Our friend Cass from Clutterbug.
Did she?
Yeah, she got to do a TED Talk in Windsor, and I wish I would have known beforehand because I totally would have went to support her. But I think she had a lot of support.
That'll be great. We'll watch it when it comes on the TED TV app. I do have it on my Apple
Yeah.
TV. So that'll do it for this week's episode of the CC Mouse Podcast. Before we take off, though, a little bit of business. ccmousepodcast.shop is now live and running with your favorite CC Mouse Podcast merch. Get yourself a mug or some stickers or a shirt that says, "Yay, we did a thing," which looks beautiful on our shop. So go find us over at ccmousepodcast.shop. Everybody wanted merch, and we launched it, and now it's for you. It's not just for your ears, it's for your body. That was weird. You can also follow us at Instagram at CC Mouse Podcast, as well as our Facebook page. Leave us a question at SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com/CC Mouse Podcast, and we may or may not read it live on the air. So next week, we'll be together at PetCon instead of here. So you'll hear something that's pre-recorded Sunday in a couple days from now, but we'll be at PetCon. So hopefully you guys will be there. It's down in Los Angeles. Google it, yo. Google it.
It's at the, if you go to petcon.co, it's at the City Market Social House in downtown LA on June 22nd from 10 to 6.
Yes.
And if you work, the dogs have their meet and greet time between 2 and 3:30, but we're pretty much going to be there the whole day. So you can just look for us. I don't know how big the space is, but we'll be there with lots of other pet
I'm so
don't sound weird saying that. Pet celebrities.
Pet celebrities. I'm stoked to do some crowd work.
Yeah, Chase is going to be there.
So it'll be good. Come by and see us if you're in the LA area on the 22nd of this month. Come say hi. Give us fist bumps, not high fives, so I don't have to parallel my hands. And we'll see you there. So until next week, we'll see you on the CC Mouse Podcast. Same mouse time, same mouse podcast. Bye.
Bye.
We did a thing.
You did a thing, and
No.
I didn't lose my voice.
No, it's only 1 o'clock in the morning for you.
No, it's not. It's 12:55.
What if I told you I just introduced a new segment to the CC Mouse Podcast, and it's called the After Show, where we do 10 more minutes of After Show?
Dun, 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 dun.
All right.
We need an intro for the after show.
Good night, everybody.
My tea's empty. 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 My tea's empty.